Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ben Ross, and I'm the CEO of Image Nation, a film and television studio in Abu Dhabi. Today, we're going to be discussing the future of movies in a streaming society. This is a question that we've been debating for the better part of the last 2 decades, and it's something that I can say the three of us think about on a daily basis. With us today, we have Zhenghua Yang, who's a senior vice president for overseas and motion picture business at the streaming service IG in China. We have Roy Lee, who is the CEO of Vertigo Entertainment, who has experience in producing both big and small screen blockbusters such as Barbarian, The Grudge, Lego Movie. What else?
Most recently, The Mother, which was Netflix's most streamed movie of 2023, and Nimona, an animated movie, and upcoming movies like the Minecraft movie and It,
yeah,
and The Departed.
Right. And then finally, we have, last but not least, we have Faisal Baitor, who is the CEO of both movie studios and Cinewave Films based in Saudi Arabia. So welcome to our panel. Welcome to everybody who joined us. Thank you so much. Roy, let me start with you. When you're prepping to do a project, does the streaming versus theatrical model, does that have any effect on how you do your business these days?
Not these days. We just try to make the best movie possible. I mean, the only reason why we choose streaming over theatrical is it used to be because we would get bigger back ends in success of a theatrical movie, but that's going to be changing now that actually all of the streaming services in the US are switching to an advertising-based model where there's full transparency for the advertisers, and they're changing the compensation models to reflect that for the producers that also make movies there. So it used to be you just sell the movies to the streaming service, you get a additional cost plus model or a larger back end, essentially paying you as if the movie was a success, which they're no longer going to do. And so it's going to be the same of just trying to make the best movie possible for just the widest audience.
Faisal, with your different positions at both movie and Cinewaves, how has the streaming revolution affected what you want to do? Because Saudi is in a much different place than a lot of places in the world with the new and kind of booming theatrical business. How has this affected you?
Honestly, if I think about it from distribution perspective, distribution can work with the theatricals and also streaming platform. So for me, it's more customers. So for us as a distribution, it is the more the merrier when it comes to distribution. So there are a lot of appetite, a lot of need of our content that we acquire or we produce. When it comes to the exhibitor side or exhibitor mindset, yes, it's of course there will be effect, and it's affecting globally. Nobody can regret that, but it's not as much as it's affecting the entire business. People still want to go to the cinemas, and with the right, I think, models that need to be built. Need to be built across the value chain of the film business to be released. The films, like the big films, to be released in theatrically first, and then goes to the streaming platform. And we have seen a lot of great examples of films that made a big buzz in the exhibition, or which is the cinemas, as well as it was in the top most watched films when it's been released in the platforms.
Cool. Thank you. Zhenghua, IG attracts a phenomenal amount of subscribers. Yeah. 100 million every day, 100 million users every day, which is amazing. What trends have you been seeing as the years have evolved with people's viewing habits? Are there types of things that you guys find are more attracted to people watching from home or theatrically, or what's your point of view on that?
Yeah, thank you, Ben. It's a good question. And before my answers, I like to introduce IG a bit, because IG is not well known in UAE and Arabic world. IG is a It's the first and the largest streaming platform in China. It's kind of like our business model is mostly is subscription-based, and we also have advertising and other business. Our company was founded at 2010, 14 years old, and now we have over 100 million subscribers. And for the film business on our platform, we have over 10,000 titles of films, both library and currently, both Chinese and international films. This is a short introduction of HE. And for Ben's question, yes, we did found some changes in China in recent years in the Chinese film market. First is the user demographic of cinema and the streaming platform is different. We found that female audience leading the cinema market. 60% of the cinema audience are female, and the percentage portfolio proportion is still rising. But while on streaming platform, only 35% of the audience are female, and 65% of the audience are male. Because cinema viewing is becoming more and more a social activity. People go to cinema with families, with loved ones, and also with sometimes with friends. So at this time, the female usually decide which film to watch. But on streaming platform at home, especially on mobile phone, it's kind of you watch a film alone. It's a habit of personal consumption behavior. So at this time, you will, usually female watch content on streaming platform likes dramas, men likes films. So that's why the number is different. And for the content type, we found that the blockbusters in cinema will perform very good on streaming too. But some kind of content perform very good in cinema, but not good on streaming, like action movies, crime movies, gangster movies. They are very good on streaming platform, but have limited box office in cinema. And female perspective films, and especially like youth love stories, have a very good performance during certain period, like Volunteers Day, but they don't perform well at all on streaming platform. There's a kind of a content like comedy films will perform well both in cinema and streaming platform. That's happened in China, but I think in almost every country, the trends will be same.
And as IG, when you get into making original content, do you try to balance out things that are gonna, like some will play theatrically before they go to your service, and then some will go direct to your service? Is there a percentage or a model that you guys follow, or it's just project by project, what you love, and you figure out what the best thing is to do with it?
Yes, we do. We will produce about 20 titles every year. I mean, original. Mostly we invest 100% or a majority investor of the films. We will some kind of films, some type of films we will produce for streaming only, and some types we will produce first window in cinema and a second window on platform, on streaming platform, and it depends on. We want to maximize the revenue of the title. Box office is much bigger than streaming service, so the price of the ticket is much higher than streaming platform. So we want to maximize the revenue of the content.
Got it. Thank you. So for the past 2 decades, there have been all these kind of doomsdayer predictions. Home theater is going to be so much better. People are never going to want to go to the movies again. It really rose to a height in the pandemic when people couldn't go to the movies, and there were a lot of people saying that movie theaters were dead, and that people were never going to go again. Yet, last year was a banner year, and the worldwide box office was over $33 billion, and that was up significantly from 2022. Granted, 2022 was still coming out of COVID and things like that. But still, I mean, it seems like theatrical is still strong. Last year was led by, movies like Barbie and Super Mario Brothers and Oppenheimer. Roy, do you think these successes, do you think it's luck, or do you think it's filmmakers adapting to making films that are more people want to see in movie theaters?
Yeah, it's just that people want the communal experience of going to the movie theaters, and like the movies like Barbie and Super Mario Brothers are like it's a family film, or just they go with friends and just experience it with others, as opposed to just watching the movie at home alone, and it's a much different experience. And so that's why you'll see movies like in the future more genre pictures and big spectacle movies where it just feels better watching it with other friends.
Yeah. Faisal, on that note, those are all big studio movies that I just brought up. Do you think that there's still an audience for like the smaller, more indie work in movie theaters, or what are you seeing in your neck of the woods?
Well, I definitely think, and this is proven by facts, if we go back 3 years back, and if I take a local Saudi content as example, the percentage of Saudi films was, from the box office, was almost 0.2%, which is almost nothing. But when some good independent films, Saudi films that we released last year, it's been increased to 35%. If you see this increase, so more than 1,300,000 admissions went to a local independent low budget films. What about the other international? There are other international, maybe even part of artistic films. Also, when it comes to the regional films, there are the last 4 months, there are a couple of examples that is more of a drama, which is not that popular, like content or films to be watched. In Saudi box office, it was number 1 in the Saudi box office, which is independent as well. Now we can see that the box office, and this is what we were aiming for since the cinema started, is not to rely on one direction, which is either Hollywood or Bollywood or even regional films, is to diversify that content. So now we have films from different countries. Now we are talking to China to have films from China and Korea and many other countries, because it's healthy for the box office in Saudi Arabia, and the audience are open, but they want to watch a good films and a good stories.
Because one of the things we talk about when we make things in the region, or and it happens in every region, but one of the things that is often a topic, is local for local. People making local films for a local audience. Are you finding that Saudi audiences, granted the film has to be of a certain quality and certain allure, but are you finding that the Saudi audiences would rather see local movies in a cinema, or would they rather stream them online?
I think in the cinemas more, because we have seen some cases in most of the famous films that the Saudi audience, part of the Saudi audience, go and watch the film twice, not once at the cinema. So you see how they were connected and eager to watch. I have released several films and either executive produce or produce some films that I have spoken with several, many audience who attended that films, who watched the film within a month twice. First time they go sometimes with a group, the other time they invite another group and go with them. So I think it is.
Cool, thank you. Shengwan, what do you think about bigger budgeted movies versus smaller budgeted movies, and how people like to view them? Do they like to? Are you finding that people like to view a certain type of film in the theater and another certain type of film at home?
Yeah, I think big budget movie, especially with the high quality visual effect movies, is good for the cinema. But we saw that those films are also perform very good on our platform. But lower budget films, for the cinema distribution, the promotion and the distribution cost is very high. So for lower budget films, it's better choice maybe to online directly. You will save the promotion cost and the distribution fee. For example, in China, when in the Chinese New Year week, we have a holiday, usually 7 days long holiday. This is the most important window for the cinema. During that time, the distribution fee reaches at least 200 million RMB, is about maybe 30 million US dollars. But for most of the Chinese films, the production cost is maybe less than the number. So the promotion budget is higher than the production cost. So at this period, the low budget film, you won't get a chance to be distributed in cinema. So it depends, I think. Lower budget is better for streaming, and higher budget is better for cinema. But for some comedy movies, you can use low budget to produce a high quality comedy. It's both good for cinema and streaming. Yeah.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Roy, a lot of studios now have their own VOD platforms. What impact do you think that the shorter theatrical windows have? Do you think that the shorter theatrical windows in favor of accessibilities on their platforms is having a good effect or a bad effect?
It seems like it could have a negative effect on it, just because a lot of times when a consumer is out there thinking about going to a movie and they're on the fence about it, they would think that, well, if it's going to be on streaming in 17 days, I might as well wait. But it's that just makes the studios have to spend more time in the marketing of the movie and promotion of it to make it a must-see event for the theater goers to just go and see it and to talk about it with their friends. But all the studies have shown that the movies that are shown in theaters have a greater demand when they do hit streaming. So it's a balance of the two, of trying to get the right amount of days for the windows from theatrical to streaming. So it's just each movie is going to be different for the marketing approach.
Right. And it seems like we have a pretty good case kind of right in front of us for the strength of the box office. I mean, if Dune 2 was just released this past weekend and did over $80 million at the US box office and almost $180 million worldwide. And on the first one, it was in the middle of the pandemic, and there was a big thing made about how Warner Brothers sent it to HBO Max day and date. And that opened it 41 million against very little competition, and this one doubled it. So it does seem kind of just in front of it wasn't me that people do want to see these big epics.
Yes, especially for Dune 2, it was something where it was such a big spectacle. Most people were attracted to see it on the IMAX screens or the PLF screens. So it's the things that it was just a better experience than watching that at home.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Shenghua, what do you think about shorter theatrical windows and accessibility versus theatrical?
I think it's good for the audience. Second, it's also good for a streaming platform. But it does a big challenge for the cinema, I think. But as I mentioned before, a cinema viewing is kind of a social activity, and streaming viewing is kind of a personal consumption behavior. It's different, and for the big budget, higher quality visual effects, the cinema has better quality of the hardware, better a better quality of sound and the audio effect, and the home devices cannot reach such higher quality to enjoy high budget films. So in some cases, if you want to enjoy the best of the film, you go to the cinema. And the second, if you want to just watch a story, you enjoy it at home. The cost of the watching film at home is much cheaper than the cinema viewing. I mean, time and the money both. You have to spend maybe 1 to 2 hours to go to the cinema and watch a film in the back and pay a higher price. But at home, you just you spend just a click and watch, and you can stop at any time. It's kind of a good, but film business facing challenges when the technology advanced. In the film industry has over 100 years, and since film was invented, the TV stations was born, and videotape born, and DVD born, as then streaming platform. At every time when the film industry facing challenges, the industry is changing to adopt the challenge, and it becomes better and better, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Faisal, when you are discussing new projects with filmmakers, are filmmakers thinking about theatrical versus streaming at all?
Yes, definitely yes. And when it comes to Saudi, since the theaters opened almost 2018, it's still an aim for most of the filmmakers to have their films in the big screen. So this is maybe with the other producers, they don't mind unless the film is bringing more money in either box office or streaming. But with the directors, yes, this is one of their main thing, is to make sure that their film shown in theaters first, then goes to the streaming platform. And honestly, this is part of what we are preferring as either distribution company or production company, because here we activate, and we have tested both models by having a film straight away to the streaming, and also by having it in theaters. The interesting part here that if the film succeeded in theaters, it will have better offer, and also it will be a great marketing for the film. So the rest of the audience want to watch it in the, so it's helpful even to the streaming platform. And this is what we are saying almost 3 or 4 years back, that the box office or the theaters will be helping the film once it's released in the streaming platform.
Got it. Roy, have you found with filmmakers that they start thinking about streaming versus theatrical anytime before they start shooting, or are they just doing what they're doing?
In every instance, in any movie I've done, the directors always want their movies in theatrical first, because they just feel like it's just part of it's part of the zeitgeist, and it's like, I like to add, like when the studios do marketing, they want to create a sense of FOMO, which is like a fear of missing out, where they want to be part of the cultural conversation, which doesn't always happen a lot when a movie debuts on streaming first.
Right. Now, I know you've been involved with movies that, went straight to streaming, after they were finished and they did their run or they did their festivals and they went straight to streaming. How are the filmmaker reactions when that happens?
When it goes straight to streaming?
Yeah.
It depends. In a few weeks after it comes out, and it's sort of not in like the front page of Netflix or other streaming services, they just feel like it just disappeared, and there was no cultural resonance later on. So I just feel like they missed something out if it didn't hit theatrical first.
Do you think that energizes them to try to even make something, for lack of a better term, more theatrical next time they move forward, or?
Well, they're always trying to make the best movie possible. I've never known a director who hasn't tried to do the best job, or at least in their opinion of what would make an audience want to see it.
Right. Have any of you, any of the three of you, ever had a filmmaker come to you, whether it's features or whether it's television? I mean, television is a little different, so actually let's stick with features for this question. Has a filmmaker ever come to any of you and said, I think this would be better streaming? Has that happened to you ever? That a filmmaker came to you and said, I would rather go to streaming first?
I've had agents come to me who represent the filmmakers say, I think this movie should go streaming first, just because they want to avoid the embarrassment of a failure in the theatrical marketplace. But not the directors.
Not the directors.
Not before. Mostly directors want to, distribute their film on bigger screen. They have a bigger screen dream in the past several years. But we produced some action movie in these years, and just last week, the one title is a streaming first title. It's a very good action movie. We want to put them on cinema for limited screen, but the director and the actor told me, "Hi, don't want the film go to the cinema. I'm afraid of the box office not good, and my next film's pay is dependent on the box office." So it changed.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's never happened. Just last week.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay.
So in your case, the agents do it. In his case, the filmmakers actually do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's interesting. Yep. You ever had anything like that?
And my case is the director who has producer hat. So, so there are some directors who produce their own films, so they think logically, not emotionally about their films, and they, from the beginning, they say this film has to be pitched to the platform straight away. And already happened to me in the last 2 years. Not many, maybe twice only. But that's it's already I'm not gonna say common, but it happened before.
Right. And how has I asked about director reactions. How about actor reactions when they think a film's when they think they've put their heart and soul into a role that's supposed to be on the big screen, and then it's going to go straight to streaming? Have you ever had any feedback on that, like from a high-level actor standpoint, or any backlash?
Several years ago, when cinema, theatrical released films go to a platform directly, the director and the actor were angry, were unhappy, because they just don't want to, But now, sometimes, when the quality of the film is not so good, the production company or the producer will tell us to talk to us. Want to go to the streaming directly, because if the film go to the cinema, they will lose all the marketing fee and the distribution fee, and the production budget will got zero from the cinema. Yeah, it changed. It's always changed.
Right. Roy, have you ever had any actor backlash?
I haven't, but I've went away after he received a big check from the studio, compensating him for success.
And didn't Scarlett Johansson, she sued
Yes,
Marvel?
she also sued and got paid out. So
and then went away.
It went away.
Right.
Yes.
So it goes. So the bottom line is it all goes away with money when they start complaining. Right? Yeah, of course. So streaming started about 17 years ago, I believe it was. What have been the biggest changes in filmmaking that you've seen since the advent of streaming? Start with you, Faraz.
When it comes to the exhibition or content?
Content.
Content.
Yeah.
The quantity of the as well, they produce their own originals to have their exclusivity. So this is the biggest, and if we say more films or more content, that's changing a lot in the value chain of the filmmaking worldwide. And also create the competition from the exhibitor side. And this is always what they say, that the exhibition need to develop more. I'm happy to see this all experiences, for example, 4D, 3D cinema, X screens, Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision. But I don't think it's yet up to the expectation of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for the cinemas to survive, they need to adapt with the change of technology and be ahead to gain more audience. Otherwise, the experience of watching the film in movies getting always closer to the cinema, especially with the new high-tech screens that can be affordable for any family to buy, or the reduction in the projection systems that can be installed at home, and the sound system as well.
Roy, what have you seen? The big changes?
With streaming, there was a glut of movies during the time period when it was a bit of a bubble where there were so many movies getting made, and you saw the quality of movies go down, but it's being pulled back a lot. Like even Netflix, you could see that last year they did 80 movies, next year they'll do 40. So it's happening the same thing with the TV industry, where it was just a glut of orders for TV shows, which then caused the budgets for everything to go up because there was such high demand for all different people in the process of making the movies. But that was just like during the pandemic when there was a lot of movies getting made, but it's definitely coming back down now.
Yeah, I think you answered my next question. My next question was going to be if 17 years ago we took, it's hard to make it quantitative, so we'll make it qualitative, but if 17 years ago we said the average film that was made, the averages of films that were made was at this level. Like if you took all the movies that were made and you looked at them and you said they even out at this level, some higher, some lower, but this is the level. 17 years later, do we think the average is higher or lower than it was 17 years ago? Shengwan, what do you think?
I'm not sure about the higher or the lower after 70 years. But what I think is, when TV was born, there's a new format of content was invented. TV series is different with the film because it's longer. It's you watch daily. But now streaming technology was founded. There's no new forms was invented yet. Will it be a new form of content in the future after 70 years? Will it be the short form videos, which is now very popular in past several years, like TikTok or some? It's very short. You can watch, enjoy. You can get fun in the very short videos, and in 1 hour you enjoy a lot of funs, much funny than 2 hours films. Will it be a micro mini series? It's kind of invented last year in. It's very popular last year in China and also in some countries, in US, in other countries. Last year, the revenue of micro mini series is about half of Chinese box office. It's a big number. It's over 20 billion. So it's big and increasing rapidly. Will it be a kind of a new form of content? We don't know, but we will see after 70 years.
All right. Mm-hmm. Roy, what do you think? Higher, lower, same?
You mean in the coming years, or right
no?
Now?
Like if we look at today versus 17 years ago. You know,
It's still higher now, but I think it's going to hit another, go down next year to reach the numbers that closer to what it was 17 years ago. Because it was almost like there couldn't be that many more movies released, and for the audience, it just was. It felt like it was the right number, and it's going to get down closer to that in the coming years.
All right. So streaming services, obviously, they have a huge variety of products that they offer. It's not only feature films, it's documentaries, it's television shows, it's even sports, it's things like that. You know, if we think about the various offerings that streaming services have, one of the things that when people were raised watching television, they were raised watching TV series on a TV in their home. They were raised watching sports on a TV in their home. They were raised, more often than not, watching films in a movie theater. So how they've watched sports and television shows has changed with technology, obviously, as technology has increased. But the basic medium is the same. The viewing is incrementally larger. Do we think that this helps the streamers when it comes to having films at home? Or do we think that when this drives people more to the movie theaters to see theatrical events? Well, I start with you.
Well, maybe as I have previously mentioned that different from culture even to culture. Some people prefer watching the film even from their phone, and maybe Sir Young, you know that most of the consumption it's not as we think when we say streaming platforms, that people watching the film in the TV. The shocking thing is the highest percentage, and I recall one of the platforms that is known in the Middle East, almost 70% of its subscribers watch the films from their phone.
Oh, wow.
So it's beyond what we are imagining and beyond what we are thinking. And this shows, goes back to the generation. So now the generation want to watch the film at any time, and it's within their pocket. And that's why they consume a lot of content through their phone. And this will give us as well a worry about the experiences that we are creating. Not anymore there. They just want to watch it from their phone. Sometimes they don't even put any, speakers. So yes, it's changing, and there should be some solutions to solve this.
So 70% watch it on their phones.
One of the streaming that I was, and I don't know if you can reveal.
What are you finding on phone versus in-home?
Now I think mobile phone and smart TV are almost the same. Mobile phone. Because in recent years, smart TV is become more popular in China. Definitely, the smart TV is a better device to watch watch films than mobile phone. The screen is big and the sound effect is good than the phone. But on the when you are in the way to the office on the transportation system, you watch content on mobile phone. It's in different situation. You will use different devices. And in recent years, more and more mobile consumption is going to the short form videos, going to the TikTok. But smart TV is still the consumption device for film and for series. So that's why 40 to 14 now. I think in some countries like the United States, it's more on the smart TVs and less on the mobile phone. It's different.
And we haven't even started to talk about things like the Vision Pro, where it's going to change and then the Vision Pro is still like almost an alpha version of what it could be. And it's just like I've seen the versions of watching sporting events where you're sitting on the floor of a Lakers game, or you're watching a soccer game from right behind the net that constantly just moves with the ball. It's going to change as the technology advances, where it's not this bulky device on your face. And if it gets down to something like a pair of glasses that you could watch them, it's going to really change everything. And also the theatrical experience could be mimicked if you have a interaction with other people wearing those, which it doesn't have that capabilities yet, but I'm sure it will be in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that conveniently leads me to my next question, which you've done twice now. So it's 2024. Streaming started in about 2007. Let's think about 2041, 17 years from now. Where do you see the theatrical world in 17 years?
I think there's still going to be the communal experience of seeing a movie, unless because of like comedies and horror movies and big spectacles that will want to get together. It may not be as vibrant as it is now, but there'll always be some sort of theatrical experience that people want to go to.
What do you think, Xinghua?
I think for the theater is always the number one choice for a film, even in 70 years later, and because of the effect of the big screen, and also the social activity, social connection. You enjoy the content with your friends. It's a better choice for the go out and to spend some time on the cinema. I think that's.
What do you think?
Well, when it comes to the movies, we can break it down. There is a content, there is experience. The content, almost the creation and production of the movie, most of it didn't change since almost 80 or 70 years ago. The writing is the writing. The script has to be in certain format. What's been changed is, of course, the quality and the adaptations of the production, and also the high quality in the production itself and post-production. But I think when it comes to the in the future, after like 20 or 30 years, maybe people from moving from content consumption to leaving that content. And I think what matters in this is the technology, and this is what I referred previously, that there need to have a better technologies. For example, 3D technology is dying, and it's just like almost 20, 25 years old. They try to enforce it in cinemas, and now people, they don't want to use it. Like, that's why nobody cares about watching the movie in a 3D format, unless some few selective movies which will not make this technology survive. 4D cinema is trying to catch up, but I don't see it in many countries. Even in Saudi Arabia, there are a couple of theaters I always go, and the theater is almost empty. So the challenge in this is the technology and how it will be, and I think it will be moving from watching the films to leaving that film or experiencing in much better ways through the technology.
Do you ever see a day where you think either the home experience or the mobile experience destroys the theatrical experience?
Well, this question is already been there since the TV started. Everyone saying, like, when the TV was more popular in every house, saying, okay, nobody will go to cinemas, but it was increasing at the same time. And there are almost, as you said, home theaters. When it was much more popular and affordable to a lot of families, they said people will let's go. And now the streaming happening. So I don't think it will stay, but there should be a lot of efforts to be done to make it survive.
Xinghua, has there ever been a film, or maybe even an epic television show, that you've released streaming on your service, that after you released it, like maybe it did so well, or there was certain amazing feedback from it, that you and your team looked at each other and said, "Oh, I wish we put that in theaters." Has that ever happened?
Yes, there is a story. There is a case. Last year, there's one film got not a good. It's a different case, but anyway, it's in the first window is on cinema, but the box office is very low. After 1 month, the title goes to platform, goes out to platform. When the audience noticed it's a really a good film, the box office increased a lot in the cinema. Even the film online on the streaming platform. It's a unique case in last year. But for the first window streaming films, there's no case that we will go to the cinema to the second window. No such case yet. But I think in the future, maybe there will some cases. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had a situation where you had a film that went straight to streaming, that afterwards, after the reaction from it, someone called you and said, "Ugh, we made a mistake, we should put it out theatrically"?
Not personally, no, I have not, but I've heard other producers have gotten that call. Like the example would be the most recent Predator movie that went straight to streaming, that after it premiered there, a lot of people were telling the producers that they wish they opened it in theatrical first.
Right. Have you ever considered, has IG ever considered, aside from films, have you ever considered launching any of your kind of large-scale television series theatrically first? Like in the sense, because sometimes, it's happened a couple of times in the US, I forget.
The Chosen most recently was a series.
Yeah, The Chosen most recently, where they released a couple episodes in theaters. They did it in batches of 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you guys ever considered doing that?
We do maybe final episode.
Okay.
Yeah, we gather all the fans, the audience together to the cinema and to celebrate the final episode, but not for every episode or only the final episode.
Right. Mm. I mean, do we think that there's a world where, because like for instance, during the World Cup, there were lots of places that, movie theaters that that broadcast the World Cup, and people will go to the movie theaters and watch them. Do we think that in the future there may be more experiences like this, where things like sports will be played in movie theaters as a live experience? What do you think?
I think this is started to be almost a trend where the movie theaters became we can say multimedia theaters, where they do gaming, sports, and this, I have seen this in Australia, in several countries, not just in Saudi, where they stream, football, and also some of them started doing big deals with the platforms to have a limited screening of some big episodes. So I think in order for the theaters to survive, they have to adapt to many more format and content, and it's already happening.
Right. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Roy?
Yeah, it's going to experiment. The theaters are going to experiment with things like, the most recently also was Demon Slayer, which they just premiered the final episode on theatrical, and it made $20 million, which you would never have thought an episode of an anime series would have done that type of business. But it's just going to be constantly evolving.
Yeah, it seems like the theaters will probably do as much as they can to try to stay in business. Yes. I mean, obviously that's pretty self-evident, but that they would experiment as much as possible based on licensing and things like that. Has that happened in China at all, where there've been like sports live streamed in movie theaters? Or
yes, sports and live concert and families meeting, a lot of things. I think the theaters have to. We are all talking about the theaters are in danger, but theaters have to find a way to survive. Yeah. So they sell tickets not only film ticket, but also find some new content. Definitely sports event and live concert you watch on cinema, you will enjoy the better sound and audio, sound and visual effect.
Right.
Your bigger screen, you
Right.
can see the football much clearer. Yeah, that's a good place, I think.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. I hope everybody enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thanks.